they're doing laughing emoji and everything like that. So I was like, what does this mean? So I had to like translate it, and then I realized, oh wow, like they're talking about the color of my skin.
Hello guys and welcome. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day, and welcome to another live session with myself, Naeem, at Naeem Drop. Now it's actually been a crazy day for me today. Like I have had so many errands that I've been running, and I've had so many appointments. I'm like, I'm gonna make it back in time to do this live, but I'm here guys, I'm here and ready to get started. So as I mentioned in my post, this week I will be joined by Ramzan Miah, who, this guy has been killing it in the mainstream industry. Like, I see this guy's face all over the place, and I am so proud to call him one of my friends. And I am so proud of him as a South Asian repping us in the mainstream industry. So he's going to be joining me today. In fact, I think he's just joined the chat, so I'm just going to invite him in just a second, and we're going to go live with him. Hello!
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, Ramzan. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just trying to sort out like the position of this, but is this all good?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, when it's split the screen, you just kind of have to adjust yourself a little bit, but
the sizes of all of that basically, but yeah.
But you look good. I've got your entire face in, so that's the main thing. So you're good. First of all, thank you so much for joining me today.
Nice.
It's an absolute pleasure having you on. And obviously, we haven't seen each other in such a long time with this crazy lockdown and COVID situation. So it's nice to kind of see you this way, at least. But have you been keeping well? You've been keeping safe? Everything all good?
Honestly, yeah, I feel like this lockdown, I'm going to be honest, has been the hardest for me personally. But yeah, I feel like we're going to be over this pandemic very soon. So it's just like living with it at the moment, and hopefully it won't be for too long. So yeah. But how about yourself?
Yeah, not bad. In fact, I think we'll touch upon that a little bit later anyway, how this pandemic and this lockdown has kind of affected different people differently, and especially with regards to potential mental health. So we can touch upon that in a mo. But yeah, same, likewise. I think with the kind of work that we do, right, we're so used to being active, and we're used to like traveling every day, whether it's to casting or whether it's to jobs. And then when all of a sudden that just comes to a standstill and you're just at home and you're just like, what do I do with myself? It can kind of, things could be a bit crazy, but yeah, but yeah, I'm good. Thank you for asking. I'm all good. But yes, Ramzan, I had a lot of questions come through for you, so let's get straight to it.
Okay.
But before we begin, can you just, I mean, who doesn't know who Ramzan is? But just in case if there's anyone watching who isn't aware of what you do, your background, etc., do you mind just giving us sort of like a brief background to you as a person, actually? You know, where do you come from, what do you what do I say, but just in terms of how you got into this industry and what exactly it is that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm British Bangladeshi, so my parents are Bangladeshi and I was born here. So I kind of, how do I explain myself? It's such a weird to explain, like what have you been doing and things like that, but I went into performing arts route. So I started doing acting and dancing. That was like my first kind of into the industry. So I loved doing that. And then a fashion show came up in my local area, and I did a sort of like a catwalk show just for fun at the same time. And I fell in love with it afterward. I got scouted from an agency. And then after that, I was like, I'm not sure if I really want to pursue that just yet, just because I really had my passion in acting and dancing. So I auditioned for musical theatre school and things like that, and then got into a performing arts school that was for 3 years, vocational. So I literally was focusing in that zone, doing acting, dancing, a bit of singing, stage performance, and all of that basically. So then from that onwards, I graduated. I did few campaigns, like just normal still campaigns, and nothing to, it was just like e-com and everything like that. And then after that was, I kind of was in this big, massive open world of like, what do I do with like my career choices and everything like that. So I kind of went with my agent and asked my model agent to help me and guide me, the current agency that I used to be with, model agent wise, and they helped me and to push me into the modeling industry. And then from that onwards, I kind of drifted into that just because I fell in love with it. But as I was doing it, I found out there wasn't like enough representation in, especially from my community side, being South Asian yourself as well, and like Bangladeshi. I think people were just thinking as it was just for fun and all that sort of thing, like, oh, you're just doing it, you're not, you know, fees, and like you're just doing it for hobbies and for your passion. So it was really interesting to see that. But for me, I'd always use my social media in a way of like, when Instagram wasn't, it was just literally like Insta your selfie and like post it. But for me, I thought if I could just promote what I'm doing, hopefully people can see that and realize that, oh, actually that's his kind of job, if that makes sense. So any jobs that I was doing, whether that was dance related, music video, or still campaigns or anything like that, I'd always post and I'd always do the hashtags and like Bengali and things like that. And then that's how I got reached from my audience and all that basically. And it just kept on growing. And then I realized, like through castings and things like that, that I need to be more personal with my audience because there wasn't enough representation in my community. So then that's when I started and basically used this as a platform just to encourage other South Asian people to do this in the mainstream as well. So yeah. So that's a bit about me.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And that's something that obviously being South Asian, I pretty much relate to, and I resonate with that quite a lot. And I think a bit like yourself, you know, I'll be honest, I started as a little bit of fun and I enjoyed what I was doing. And then, as you say, once you get into it, you realize actually there isn't enough representation of South Asians in the mainstream fashion or modeling industry, and even in the performing arts, I would say. So you start realizing actually, in a weird way, I am repping something or someone, or I am a brand in myself too. And actually the amount of people that end up getting, I'm sure you obviously get this a lot, that say, you know, like, thank you so much. You're like showing us that we can do it. And honestly, like for me, Ramzan, like I'm not just saying this, but when I see you do such great things, I am so proud. Because I mean, I was thinking about this. We met about 4 years ago now. Can you believe it's been that long? At like a random Luton catwalk show, and now when I see you doing, and I tell you why I still remember that specific date. It's because on the way to that show, I got a speeding fine, and I still have the points on my license. I'm counting down the months till those points come up. So I specifically remember that date. But anyway, and now I see you do all this stuff, and I'm like, yo, like I am so proud of this guy. Like I am legit so proud of you. So first of all, kudos and keep doing what you're doing. But I just want to let people know that this does not happen overnight, right? So if people look at your Instagram page and they see you got a blue tick, which by the way, amazing, verified on Instagram. You know, you've got an X amount of followers and you're signed to some amazing modeling agencies. Can you just let everyone know when you actually, like, what year did you even sort of progress into this industry, and therefore give people a bit of an idea that stuff like this doesn't happen overnight. Like, you know, you have to work hard, you have to have the motivation, the passion and the patience to actually get to the point of where you are right now.
Thank you so much for your kind words. I really appreciate that, honestly. Like every time when people like message and things like that, I am so grateful because it's just a personal thing. Like it just shows that I'm doing it for you guys as well, and like for my community mainly than anything else. So it's just really humble to hear those kind of positive messages. So yeah, I definitely agree with you, Naeem. Like it does not happen overnight. Like it's a progression, and I think that's what hopefully people can understand is if you're looking like getting into an agency and then working next week to a big campaign, it won't be like that. It's all about networking. It's all about taking the time, process, building your portfolio. Everything like that. That's really important in the modeling industry. And I would say I started mainly, like I did it for like similar to you, like I did it for fun, like those catwalk shows and build my portfolio up. But I would say, I wouldn't say like, it's really weird, but I can't say I'm full time at this industry because it keeps changing. Like I don't work Monday to Friday. I don't work Monday to Sunday. So I would say I started like 2000 and probably 14 or that onwards, like that's when it started. And it was kind of doing small things progressively and building that up, and it'll be like smaller brands that I've never heard of, and it'll be like, oh, can you do their e-coms, and then it'll be like, oh, there's a campaign shoot happening with fashion brands, commercial shoots with Asda George or something. Are you interested? And that's how I build myself up, and just going out of my comfort zone. But I'd also say that a lot of it is to do with rejection as well. So this industry, like you don't see the BTS basically behind the scenes, and you can relate to that as well. Like there's a lot of pencils and the release and like
yeah,
all of that happens. So you never know. Like this industry is not safe, but it also has positive aspects of it, and the aspects is like you have to do it for yourself more than anything else, and have a lot of passion, and that's when you would definitely achieve things if you stick your head down and like going for it. But yeah, it took a while for me. I feel like now I'm at this level where I feel actually okay about it, but I feel like stable about it in terms of the industry. But before that, it was like just a progression of just doing more things and experimenting and seeing what happens, and yeah, all of that.
yeah, totally. And you know, coming back to what you said about rejection, oh yeah, we as models, we all know that, right? And not
Yeah,
even just models, I mean, with yourself, even in terms of performing arts, whether it's acting or dancing, anything, like it's so damn competitive and the rejections are insane. And sometimes I wonder, is it worse when you don't even get through the initial stage of a casting, or is it worse when you get like to the final two and you're like penciled in and it's between you and one other guy or whatever it might be, and then like last minute, like campaigns that might be paying thousands and thousands of pounds, or that will give you just huge exposure, like huge commercials, and
yeah,
then last minute you're like, oh, actually they've gone for the other option. And
yeah,
it's not even personal, right? Like it's not personal to you. They've just chosen the other person for whatever reason. They've chosen the
mm,
other person, right? And but what I will say to everyone watching, and I think you probably agree with this, is yes, that can hurt. But one, the longer you do it, the more obviously the thicker, as cliche as it sounds, the more thicker skin you get. But
yeah.
secondly, those feelings of like feeling really rubbish when you just miss out on something is totally outweighed by when you do book something. So
Mm.
even if you get like 10, 20 rejections, it just takes that one campaign or for that one job for you to book to give you that massive boost and massive high, which just makes it all worthwhile, right?
No, definitely. I definitely agree with that. And also, like, just to relate to the whole part of the rejection, I think it's important to, like, as human, to go through that experience as well. Because if everything was just handed on a plate and everything, like, you wouldn't see that experience, and you would have not acknowledged it or how to handle it or deal with that. So to me, I was like, yeah, those rejections are frustrating and really annoying, and yeah, it's hard, but I kind of need to experience that, and I'm glad I've experienced those things, because then I wouldn't be where I am in the outcome of it.
Totally.
So yeah, I think
Exactly.
yeah, it's important to just go through this rejection. Rejection is a big part of this industry, but we all have to go through it. Yeah,
And it's good for life, right? It's a life skill too, getting used to rejections. But I mean,
yeah,
that's one of the reasons why I've been doing these live sessions, because you know a lot of people will see your Instagram page, or they might look at my Instagram page, or they see us booking all this work. But like you say, they don't see the effort, the behind the scenes, the daily life that we go through to
yeah.
get the images that they're seeing, or to see the stuff that we're putting on our grams and so on. So, you know, we might have attended like 50 castings in order to potentially book that one job that you're seeing.
Mm,
So nothing is being handed to us. Nothing is
no,
handed to us on the silver platter, right? We're working damn hard to
I
book
think we
certain
get
campaigns with certain
as
agencies.
South Asian, we have to work extremely hard just to be recognized and just achieve things as well. So for us, it's not like an easy play. Like we have to market ourselves, we have to reach out to brands as well, ourselves, agencies as well, update Polo. Like a lot has to go through that, and it's important that we share that to people who are watching as well, because it's not handed. It's never handed. Like us South Asian, there's underrepresentation already as it is. So we have to just pass that across. We have to definitely keep going and keep chasing, basically, because we're not there yet. But like I feel in a few years' time, we'll definitely be not in a bracket, if that makes sense.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That's the aim. And again, I'm going to come back to your achievements, you know, signing to some amazing agencies, by the way. So once again, congratulations on those. But I know, because we've spoken about this over the years, right? We've spoken about this a lot of times about how we have to just keep, like, you know, if you sign to, for example, some of the agencies that you're signed to now, that probably wasn't the first time you approached that agency, right? You
No.
might have approached them 5 times, 10 times, 20 times before, but every few months you come back, right? And then eventually your look will be in, or there might be something about you at that moment in time they like, and they sign you. Like I had one agency, that Body London, who I'm signed to now.
Yeah.
I remember visiting them Ramzan literally 3 weeks beforehand, right? And
Yeah.
they said no to me. 2, 3 weeks later, they got in touch with me through a casting that came through and decided to sign me. And I was like, 3 weeks ago, you said no to me. So now you're ready to sign me because I maybe fit a brief for a certain client, and you realize actually you would want someone like me on your books. And I'm sure you've experienced the same signing to agency. In fact, the question has just come through: any advice on how to join an agency as an Asian? So I mean, you can sort of touch upon this, Ramzan, but like you know, you probably agree with me that you just got to keep going, right? You got to, even if you get no's, come back after the next amount of time, and never really take no for an answer. Keep going.
No, do you know what? That is a really good way of motivating yourself, and I definitely agree with you. Like I've had a similar experience with the agency I'm with Nevs as well. I think I applied like 5 times for that agency, and it was a no. I did a walk-in, it was a no. I did a self-tape, it was a no. So I was like, what is it that you're looking for? Like even the mark, like when I was doing my research, I looked at the books of who are models who are currently with that agency, and I was like, there definitely is a gap for me to be with that agency because there isn't anyone like me. But I still got a no, and I was thinking, I just don't understand. Is it my height thing? Is it my look thing? So it was just really hard to understand. But like you said, we have to keep going, and it's just a time and a place. And right now, currently in this pandemic, even though there's been like ups and downs, I also see it as a positive results, because I wouldn't be with that current agency I'm with now if it wasn't for this pandemic sense, because they're changing the way they're taking on models right now. Like before, you used to be on specific heights. Now it's like the height is not there anymore. So it's just like your personality or your looks or all of that. And now they're going mainstream onto the commercial side as well, instead of focusing just predominantly on like just the fashion industry. More agencies are doing influencers books now as well. So it's just a lot of things is just definitely fast forwarding right now, and it's a good place at the same time, because more people can definitely be applying and more people can be with different kind of agencies as well.
Yeah, so everyone watching who's interested, now's a good time to start applying. So although you can't do walk-ins and so on, just start applying to agencies for sure. Just touching upon the fact of, you know, you mentioned with regards to the commercial aspect and sort of having that skill set. So just from your point of view, being obviously having done performing arts and being a dancer and doing a bit of acting, etc., has that been a huge help to you when it comes to the modeling aspect too? Has it helped you having that skill set? Has it helped you get more work? Has it helped you, or has it in fact been a hindrance? Because sometimes people are like, no, we just want fashion models and that's it.
Yeah, I definitely think any skills is good to have, whether you're a good footballer or a dancer or a gymnast. Any skills that you have, is good to just put that in there with your agent or with your casting, because brands like campaigns and brands love that. There's moments where I've been also a model, but they're like, oh, can you move? And I'm like, yeah. And that's how I got the job, because they see me move and they're like, oh, he can do both, so let's take him on.
Second thing, still sticking with that, being an influencer. I mean, would you call yourself an influencer? I mean, I know a lot of agencies now and even a lot of brands, obviously, if you are an influencer or if you have an X amount of followers on your Instagram, that's just the direction that the industry is going in. So once again, do you feel like that's been a help?
I think it's really, again, it's a weird one, because I started just focusing in the modeling first and just promoting like my dance and my modeling on just social. And that wasn't when I didn't think about influencing or anything like that at all. I was just doing this just to showcase my community about what I do and my job. But then as that progressed, then I got like the reach of the audience, and then more people were fascinated about like collaborating with me. But when it comes to brands and things like that, I think it definitely interlinks. Like with skills, again, it all interlinks, and influencing definitely interlinks. Like recently I collaborate with Pepe Jeans, and I don't see, it's really weird, but I wouldn't see myself working with that brand just because it never crosses my mind. And I thought they go for a specific look or specific style. But now, like, brands are being very open, very diverse in terms of, not diverse in looks, but diverse in terms of skill asset. And that's how I kind of got in with the brand and did a model campaign with them. So to me, it definitely interlinks with influencing work, and you never know what can happen. So just be open-minded with everything.
And I completely get it with the even the influencer thing, and as you say, it all links in, because when it comes down to it as a model, it's like, are you marketable? Are people going to look at your face and say, wow, like I want to be that person, or I want to be wearing those clothes, or you know what I mean? So actually being an influencer or influencing people, it's what kind of models have done in the past and still do, right? So it makes sense that it's all pretty linked.
I think also important to realize that being authentic as well. So brands are wanted to work with more influencers just because it will reach to a different target audience, if that makes sense. So I'm relating to myself again, but with Pepe Jeans, they wanted to reach the South Asian, and because of my audience and that, they were like, oh, that would be a great way of doing both, like booking him as a model and also reaching to more audience and new audience as well. So yeah.
Like when I see your reels and when I see the things that you're doing, I know as a working model how hard that stuff is. So if someone posts something on the Instagram, whether it's a reel or whether it's sort of like a video or something that they've done, I know how much effort has gone into that content making, and I know how much effort has gone into that editing.
Yeah.
It's not just a random video this person has posted. Like, this person has put a lot of time and effort into it. So like with anything, you need to have a passion and you need to have a drive, and you need to really just work harder, I think, in any walks of life, really. But still sticking again with that subject, I just want to touch upon, we're talking about like all the amazing stuff that you've achieved, Marshall, and you've done really well. But I want to hear your experiences, any potential negative experiences. First of all, within the fashion industry, so whether it's been via agencies or castings, I know you mentioned rejections, etc., but anything that really specifically stands out to you where you felt really rubbish, whether that was to do with any kind of discrimination you faced, whether it was your height, your measurement, your skin color, whatever it might be. And then secondly, outside of that, as an influencer, any negative comments or anything that comes through that? Because I know you posted something recently on your stories about some negative stuff that was coming through on your socials, and we kind of reached out to each other, and I was like, dude, you're like doing amazing stuff. So like, is it, so again, just to let everyone know that, it's not all hunky-dory, that we do go through tough stuff, right? Like, we do have to hear some horrible things sometimes. So can you maybe just give us a few examples of anything like that you might have experienced, if you would be open to talk about it?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So recently I did receive a rejection, not rejection, sorry, like a bad negative comment. And with that comment, it kind of affected me, just because I do get few negative comment in general, but I can avoid it. It's so easy with social media, like with Instagram especially, you can just delete and just move on from it. But that specific comment that I had recently, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, it was personal just because it was coming from my community and like from South Asian. And with South Asian relation, I'm more personal to that, just because I'm trying and break the stigma of that. And it was really hard when I seen that message, and it just takes that one message to doubt yourself. And I was in that mindset, and yeah, I know right now I'm okay and everything is absolutely like fine right now, but during that time everything was just escalating, and it got to a peak moment. And again, we're human at the end of the day, and we would experience that. And like I said, like, I'm glad I've experienced that moment as well, again, just because I need those moments to just push and get out of that zone, and then I can, if it happens again, I know how to react to it. It's really frustrating when you see these kind of things, because you're just like, well, look, we're the same, we're just trying to move forward and like not have this stigma of looks and height thing and a certain way of dressing and all of that basically. So when these thing comes into aspect of like words of South Asian, or you're being stupid and you're like shaming South Asian, it definitely hurts you for a bit. But I would always say just ignore these kind of messages. Now I know it's easier said than done, but like you said, the community that I have is really supportive. Like you've messaged me, and I honestly feel messages like that like really help me just to get out of that comfort zone and just be like, okay, do you know what, I'm actually doing something and it's all fine and it's in the moment and it's not for so long. And yeah, you can't please everyone. Everyone's definitely, yeah, I would say there's going to be moments where you're going to have people message you or create fake accounts even, like just to message you and put you down. But yeah, I think that hit me the most. But also another thing that also hit me was with rejection. I'm going back to that just because I always would remember that rejection, and it just shows how this, again, the industry is not always safe. But I did a job, I can't really name the brand, but I did a job and I was in Cape Town that time doing a model season, and my agent was like, oh, definitely, you know, do this job, the brand is amazing, like the outcome would be perfect for you and everything like that. So I was like, okay, well, I booked a safari with my friend, but I try and like rearrange it, and he was like, yeah, you're gonna have to do it. Like they sometimes say this, just do the job and don't make any excuses. So I did the job, I confirmed it, and it was a 20-hour flight from Cape Town to all the way to Lisbon where the shoot was happening. And I got to the shoot and I did straight away, went into fitting, and I was there, I was the first person there and I was the last person to finish, and they were just trying on so many clothes on me, and they're just trying to find a look and everything like that. And then I don't know, like something about it I wasn't understanding. So then the next day I went back to the hotel, and my agent calls me and they were like, you know what, you did, like, thanks for doing this job, but unfortunately they won't need you anymore. So that kind of affected me, and I remember it was the hardest rejection I've ever had, just because everything was confirmed. I was flying in, I was thinking, okay, great, this is all done. Like, I'm not overthinking anything. I'm going to do the job, and yeah, it'll be like, it'll be a good thing. But then it just backfired, and I was literally mentally affected by it for sure. I was staring at a white wall for the whole like 3 or 4 hours. I was FaceTiming my friends, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't want to leave the hotel. I just want to stay in my room, like production's everything in the hotel. I don't want to see anyone. It was the toughest rejection I've had. But eventually I got out. But I'd remember that rejection just because you never know. Like you said, you can't overthink these things. It could be your look thing. It could be your height thing. It could be you didn't fit into the outfit. It could be my measurement that was wrong. And yeah, but again, I'm going back to just because I'm glad I've experienced that, because now I know how to deal with this. And every time I get a confirmed job or anything like that, I'm like, well, it's not certain until you see yourself, until you get the buyout and everything like that, because exactly. It's all a risk. Like, this industry is very tough and very risky, but yeah. So
and until I also learned that because I shot for Gillette, and I was so amazed. I was like, oh my god, Gillette, and like, well, I posted behind the scenes stuff, like, oh my god, I'm shooting for Gillette, and my campaign never came out. Like, my campaign never came out. Like, I got paid for it. But yeah. Sometimes in this industry, for us, like, I think you're the same. Like, we don't just do it for the money. We don't do it for the money.
No.
Like, I think if you're in it for just the money, it's not going to work, because you don't book thousands of pounds worth of jobs every day of the week or every month. You know what I mean? So you can't really be in it for the money. So, and then when my brand, like, it didn't come out, I was so gutted. So I learned that even if you've shot for them, even if you've potentially gotten paid for that shoot day, like you say, until you actually get the buyout, or until you actually see your face on the TV
billboard
or the billboard, like, there is no guarantee. Yeah,
it's just uncertain. Like, again, like, that's what makes us stronger, I think, for both of us, is going through those experiences and like just outcoming and be like, you know what, forget it, and like, now we can adapt to it straight away. Like, if this happens again, we're like, okay, cool, and then move on to the next. But when it happens first initially, it's like the hardest part. But yeah,
totally.
Someone said keep shining. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for the lovely comments that are coming through. Have you ever experienced any blatant discrimination when it comes to your skin color? that you can recall, or any kind of racism at all?
This is going back to when I did London Fashion Week. I did a catwalk show over there, and one of the articles went to Malaysia. And when I don't know where it was coming from, but like it got published over there, and I had a lot of token eyes on my color skin. And like, oh, how is he doing London Fashion Week? He's not light enough. Like, it was just really harsh comment, things like that. And the way they were saying it, they were commenting on my feed page, and as well as there was an article about it, but it would be in different language, so I couldn't really understand. They're doing laughing emoji and everything like that. So I was like, what does this mean? So I had to like translate it, and then I realized, oh wow, like they're talking about the color of my skin. And when I'm doing London Fashion Week, and I was like, there's no like aspects in when you're doing London Fashion about anything to do with color, skin, or anything like that. So to hear that was hard hitting, and especially like, again, it's coming from the Asian side, that's more harder. Like, it was coming from the Asians, whereas if it was somewhere else, then I kind of would not even accept that at all, but like just be like, okay, be mindful of it. But like, because it was coming from Asian,
You wouldn't accept it, but you would accept it, but you would almost kind of understand it, right? Compared to when it's coming from your own people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So when I seen that, I was like, what am I doing that is wrong? Like, why is everyone like talking about the color of your skin? And we should be moving forward. Not this happened in I think it was I don't know what year it was, but it was recent. But I was like, come on, like we're past this now, we're past this stage, and it still happens. So to me, like, I think even like it's the importance of, like, for example, Black Lives Matter. Like, it just shows how everything happens behind the doors, and you never know, and what other people are going through. And
like, you know, it's easy for us to sit here and say, oh, discrimination, racism in the mainstream industry, when, again, talking from my own experience, I'm not sure if you've done a lot of sort of Brit-Asian kind of modeling, so like, you know, India Fashion Weeks, Pakistan Fashion Weeks, things like that.
right.
Like, from my experience, I have probably experienced more colorism in the Brit-Asian market than I have racism in the mainstream market. And that's really sad for me personally anyway to see, because it's like when your own people are not supporting you, when your own people are putting white Caucasian faces on their ramps because they want people to aspire to look like white people.
Yeah, I just get confused. Like, why does that happen? Like, I just feel really confused about this. Like, when you're doing Asian shows and things like that, and you were saying yourself, like, you should be relating to your audience as well. So I see it as like Asians, people wearing clothes as well, and that should be like for weddings or whatever the season is. So you should put Asian people in it. Like, why would you put someone that's, do you know what I mean? It's just it's a bit confusing. So it's really hard. But
I feel like, you know, there should be I think there should be diversity. So, you know, definitely have Caucasian faces in your shows, but let's not put it down to just Caucasian faces, or let's not just put it down to fair-skinned Asian models, you know, because that's not real life. That's not what, like you say, what you're related to. And I remember an editor of a very top Asian magazine once said to me, that's what Asians aspire to look like, so that's what we're going to put in our magazines.
wow.
Were the exact words. And I'm like, but then if that is the case, who brings about the change? Maybe if you did start putting darker skin models on your front covers and on your ramps, then maybe the audience watching it would want to aspire to look like that instead.
Talking about diversity and representation, that's the current topic that everyone's talking about. So we should be listening to that and going with that instead of just going backwards. But I feel, yeah, we're going to eventually get there for sure. But again, I feel like it's just frustrating to hear that, like, all of this happens still. But yeah.
Now let's make things more positive.
Yeah.
Ramzan, I want you to name drop. I want you to name drop some of the biggest highlights of your career and some of the biggest kind of campaigns that you've done, because you, my friend, have done a lot. But what has been like the main highlight for you, whether that's just because you enjoyed working on set with that brand, or whether you were just so proud of yourself for booking that particular campaign? So what would you say have been some of your top highlights?
Yeah, sure. I would say it's weird, but for film wise, it would definitely have to be Disney Aladdin, just because like I've been a huge fan at such a young age, watching Disney films and everything like that. And again, that that was part of a process where I was rejected 3 times and then eventually got contacted through social media to be part of the film. So that to me was just another highlight moment, to be dancing in it and to just, yeah, be in a Disney film. So I would say that, but with model and campaigns and anything, I would say 2 things. I would say George Asda was one, and I would say River Island, just because they were so supportive with where I was coming from and my background. And I love campaign who wants to just work with who you are as a person. And it wasn't even tokenized or anything like that. It was like, oh, we want to put you in that just because of who you are and your personality. So that was a big, massive achievement for me, for sure, because I also, like, for example, River Island, that they were listening to me. So when I was talking, I did an Eat Edit collection with River Island, and they while I was just doing like few campaigns with them on social, I was like, oh, I'm gonna actually reach out to them. And I think that's another advice I would say is just don't just stop there and just be like, oh, I'm gonna wait around and see what happens. Always keep chasing, always keep going, because that's how you would definitely, I would say, make it. It's like not waiting around, but like just making things happen for yourself. So with River Island, I kind of like contacted and I said, oh, Ramadan's coming up, and then there's going to be Eid after this where people celebrate with their families. I would love to like do a collaboration with you guys. And they were like, absolutely, yeah, let's speak about this. And then we had this conversation for like a month, and it eventually happened. And that was another achievement, because I look back at it and I'm like, oh, it was an idea in my head and I made that idea happen with that brand. So that was that. Things like that I'm always like, I love hearing and I love doing as well. So I would say definitely George Asda and River Island, yeah.
Dude, congratulations once again. I'm so proud. And again, it just goes to show, like, this didn't just necessarily come to you, especially with the River Island one. You put in the effort. You kind of went to them and said, these are my ideas, blah 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 blah. So
Yeah,
again, once again, it's not like everything's just being handed to you. Like, nothing sort of just comes to you just like that. Sometimes you have to put that time, effort in, and you did
absolutely.
that, and you got something amazing out of it, which is fantastic. I hope you don't mind me sharing this with everyone, that you're not 6 foot tall. Like, how tall are you?
No,
You're five.
I literally, I'm 5'10". So my height is really short. Like when it comes to, yeah, like on looks, on comparison to heights and things like that. I sometimes wear boots just to make sure I am like a bit like 5'11" or something like that. But I was gonna say to you, whoever's listening as well, do not be afraid of your height. Height is literally like, don't let that stop you. Honestly, I mean, you've got a perfect height, right? You're not
Not
6 foot.
perfect enough. No, I'm 5'11".
You're five foot.
So
But you're 6 foot.
so my agencies tend to like bump up my height by like
Uh,
an inch.
a bit
So you'll probably find.
and you're 6 foot anyway. So
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of my agency comp cards, you will see like 6 foot, 6 foot,
yeah, yeah.
until I go to castings and they'll get me to take my shoes off, and then they're like, oh damn,
That
okay, like Benny, you're just about 5'11", but okay, but usually by then it's too late anyway, so we're all good. But no, because heights, that's sort of like, again, coming back to that whole thing of, you're 5'10", I'm 5'11", that hasn't stopped you from doing London Fashion Week, it hasn't stopped me from doing London Fashion Week, like, so never be afraid of what you are, whether
yeah,
that's your height, whether it's you're not comfortable with your physique, whether, sadly, even if you're not comfortable with your ethnicity or your skin color, or you might have scars, or you might have imperfect skin, you might not have the best hair, but that doesn't necessarily stop you from achieving what you want to achieve.
definitely.
Like, there will be a brand, there will be someone out there looking for you, looking
Yeah,
for
and
what you
I would
have.
say relating that to the agency as well. If an agency asks, "Oh, we're looking for 6'1" models," still apply. Like you never know. Like until I like to just keep applying for as many agencies as possible, regardless of heights, because they'll see me who I am as a person and my personality, and that's what is like sells them to them basically. So yeah.
A question here from Shihab Sarva Chowdhury. What are your thoughts about gender stereotypical comments in fashion industry? But I presume that means, so maybe in terms of just with regards to, um, sort of gender stereotypes in the
Mm.
fashion industry. So maybe in terms of sometimes the way that we might need to dress or present ourselves, or maybe I'm assuming it's kind of what I meant. I mean,
I know.
you kind of
I
get.
would say the same thing as well. That's the where how I would see it as well. And I think going back to it, I don't know. I don't know. I would say it's really open minded right now as well, with brands being aware with that and accepting that as well. So yeah, I think it in a good way is in it, like we're moving forward, and even people putting on their social media of what they want to be known as. So that's really refreshing to see.
And it's all about being open-minded yourself too, right? Like you got
Yeah.
to be very open-minded. You know, if a fashion designer is asking you to walk in a skirt, like, you know, we all have our limits. There's things that we may or may not want to do, but obviously if you limit your what you will or won't do, then that will limit the kind of work you get to, right? And you got
Absolutely.
to know your own boundaries. And like, I walked in a skirt during London Fashion Week, and I loved it. I'm like, this is awesome. It's like wearing a kilt.
Yeah.
So you know that. So exactly, you just need to be open with it. But yeah, fair enough if you have certain boundaries. Which actually, someone's just brought up another question, which I think is brilliant. In fact, I was going to ask you this anyway.
Yeah.
It's come from Layla_A_Begum, which says, do you struggle to balance your faith with modeling, e.g., fasting and prayer? And that's for you both, Naeem and Ramzan. So I will let you answer that first.
I'm gonna say I have been struggling. I'm gonna be honest with you with balancing both. But like, this is something that I wanna do, like think about more when I'm doing this year, like with brands that I want to work with, and like always put that into mind, and have my faith first than my career, if that makes sense. So that's something that
Mm-hmm.
I need to work on myself, and it's a goal of mine that I'm gonna try and like focus on this year. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think you know what, it's like with any job, and it's like with any work. It's kind of a bit what I was saying with boundaries. We all have our personal boundaries, and Ramzan, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you're the same when it comes to this stuff. So
Yeah.
my boundaries, personally, when it comes to my faith, are, you know, I won't do any full-on nudity. I won't do any intimate stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I won't do anything that promotes, like, I've never done any alcohol campaigns, or I've not done anything like that, because it promotes what goes against my beliefs. Having
Yeah.
said that, you know, I've done things like swimwear. I've even done underwear before, because so those are kind of my boundaries, and I'm okay with doing that. I just wouldn't
Mhm.
do any more than that. When it comes to things like fasting prayer, I've done shoots when I've been fasting. Not a problem. For me, it's like going to a normal day job and fasting. So I have no problems with that. And a lot of the time, even when it comes to prayer, like, I find so many clients, and what's again ironic is the mainstream clients have been so much more understanding and flexible. If I'm like, okay, I've just got to go pray. You know, during London Fashion Week, it was Jummah. I had to find a mosque close by to go and pray. And they were like, okay, you know, we did want you to do some pre-shoots, but if you can be back in half an hour, that'd be brilliant. And they let me go for like an hour to the nearest
Yeah.
mosque and pray. So, you know, I think you can, you have the choice.
Around it, I think you definitely can work around it for sure. It's
Sure.
open, being open again, I guess, with everything.
Totally. Another question that came through is, any advice on joining a modeling agency? I think we pretty much covered that before. So, guys, those of you that have missed it, I'm going to be uploading the highlights of this on my Instagram page. So please do follow me at Naeem Drop. And I'm going to put the whole video up on my YouTube channel, which is also Naeem Drop. So, guys, check out the link in my bio of my Instagram page, and that would all be on there. So, just because I don't want to sort of repeat that again for those of
Mhm.
you who have already sort of listened in on that advice. So, let's speak. Actually, I'm just going to stick to before we finish off, the whole faith background and culture background. How did you experience it sort of with your family and friends, and how do they feel about your work as a model, as a dancer, as a potential actor, and how does that go down with your sort of community at home?
Yeah. I've had like a I've had a bit of, at the start it was like, oh, what are you doing? Like, you should be doing academic stuff. So I've had those kind of like, bend it like Beckham sort of thing in my family. But as I was doing more work and like showing and progressing, and showing that to my family, they kind of like understood it and kind of accepted it as well. I mean, my dad was more supportive than my mum, I would say, which is really, I thought it would
I,
be ironic because I thought it would be the other way around. But yeah, so my dad was just like, yeah, do it, and he's been so supportive with me. And then my mum like slowly started to just come by it. But now, like, alhamdulillah, like all my family like are very supportive. My cousins, my niece, my nephew, everyone's just like, they just love to see that now. So it's a good, yeah, it's a good support system for sure.
No, that's lovely to hear, and I think having that support from family and friends is super important. Guys, if you do have any more questions afterwards, then obviously when I upload this, feel free to pop stuff in the comment section below, and then Ramzan and I, or if you wanted to just message us on Instagram, we will be more than happy to answer that, guys. But obviously please give Ramzan a follow, people, if you don't already. Ramzan, if you just want to give a shout out to yourself, your pages, and everything for people to follow.
Yeah, I would say, like, also if anyone from my followers is joining, also follow Naeem Drop as well, and you can just link it up at the top as well, and just you can see his Instagram. But yeah, mine is at Ramzan_Miah. So yeah, thanks for having me for this topic as well. It's really interesting to talk about and have a conversation. So yeah, thanks for having me on.
No, thank you so much for coming and taking your time out of your schedule and actually having this chat with us. I think it's super important to get the awareness out there, and just for people to get an understanding of how hard you work and everything that you have done. You've done through dedication and hard work, and I just wanted to let people know that, and that not everything is just handed to you on a plate, and everything is, you know, sorry, I'm just having another look at how do you know. I think I've just answered that already. So I had another question come through. How was your struggle to come here? With us Asian families, we have so many restrictions. I think we kind of pretty much covered that. So
yeah,
again, if you missed that, please check out the
full video.
Check it out when I upload this fully on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much once again, Ramzan. I'm going to let you go. Thank you once again for joining me and doing this and spreading the awareness. Carry on doing the great stuff that you're doing. Carry on representing South Asians, representing people under 6 foot, you know, representing yourself. You know, you're doing amazing stuff. So keep doing what you're doing, and I continue to look forward to seeing all of your work. And yeah, keep it up. Super proud.
Cool, thank you so much. Honestly, no, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and you're doing so well as well. So let's keep going. Let's keep chasing. We've got this.
Keep going. I feel like every time we see each other, whether it's at castings or whatever, we're always like, I feel like we just relate so much to a lot of things.
Build on that convo, but honestly, you're doing amazing. So yeah,
thank you.
We've got this. But anyway, I'll speak to you soon. Yeah, cool.
Take care, Ramzan. Right. Look after yourself. Bye. So guys, that was my live with Ramzan Miah. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That boy is doing great stuff in this industry. He's doing fantastic stuff, and it was a pleasure to have him on here and for him to discuss his journey and his experiences. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for all the lovely questions that have come through. As with me at Ramzan and I were saying, when it comes to us models or content creators, you know, every little support matters, and your support and your lovely kind words mean a lot. So please subscribe to both of our YouTubes, Ramzan Miah and Naeem Drop, and follow our Instagram pages, Naeem Drop and Ramzan_Miah. I will have everything in our bios. I'm going to leave you guys to it. Have a lovely week ahead. Enjoy the rest of this Wednesday and happy hump day, and continue to follow and show love. And if there's anyone that you would like to hear from, whether it's in the fashion industry, mainstream, or the British Asian one, then please let me know, and I will try and get them on a live session at some point and answer your questions. Until then, peace and love.